Welcome to episode 11 of For the Love of the Game interview series. This interview series brings on players, coaches, and other professionals in the sports industry. For episode 11, I'm very excited to have a very special guest, newly named assistant coach a couple months ago now of the Manhattan College men's basketball team, JR Lynch. How are you doing, JR?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thank you for having me. This is an honor.
I appreciate you coming on. There's a lot to talk about with Manhattan basketball, which we'll get into, as well as a lot of other interesting topics around your career. Let's get started here in Riverdale, though. How has this transition been?
It's been exciting. You go from being a grad assistant at UConn, and now your responsibilities just enhance 10 times more. But it's something that I always imagine myself doing, and I'm just fortunate enough to have this opportunity to be with Coach Gallagher and get this thing rolling.
We're going to get into the UConn side of things. Now, though, you have an experience that you couldn't pass up. You become a Division I assistant coach. How have you been able to hit the ground running, and how has practice been so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've learned so far is bringing that passion that I have for the game, and just kind of pouring it into the guys every day, just showing them what is expected by bringing that energy. But it all goes back to the coaches I had, right? A guy who I try to mimic, just my coaching style is John Linehan. The things that he has done for me as a player, I just try to pay it forward. I remember the hours, the times, the memories we had, and so I just try that feeling I had when he was a part of my career. I just try to pay that forward.
Do you sometimes pinch yourself and you're like, wow, this is really happening, considering just a couple of years ago you didn't even know if you were going to go down this path, and now you find yourself in a great opportunity and you're reunited with Coach Gallagher. Is Coach Gallagher, now he's back in a new opportunity, new position, is he more motivated than ever, and how great has it been to be with him?
Gal is at an all-time high right now, and I'm talking about with his passion, his energy. Like, he's excited to be back. After taking a year off and being away from the game, now he's back in the game, and his energy is at an all-time high. And when you come to a spot where you haven't won in about 10 years, but there's a foundation. There's history here. So the biggest thing is making sure you come in here with the utmost energy and passion, and John Gallagher has that, right?
So you're a Jersey guy, you play at Hudson Catholic, you go for a PG year at St. Andrews. Then you end up getting the call from Hartford. Can you talk about that recruitment process and why Hartford?
I'll tell you this. So I don't know if many people know this, but so I only played 1 year of varsity basketball, like legit minutes at Hudson Catholic. So I played freshman basketball as a freshman. I played JV basketball as a sophomore. I suited up all 4 years. But my junior year, I played about 5 minutes a game. And then my senior year, that summer, so my junior year summer, going into my senior year was kind of, I had this mindset of, I'm just gonna prove myself that I know I can be a Division I basketball player. Fast forward to my senior year, I have a pretty decent year. And I remember Gal comes and watched my first state game. It was a home game. I forget who we were playing. And after the game, we're in Coach Nick's office, and Gal was like, "Listen, if we had a spot, if we had a scholarship, we would offer you, but we won't have a scholarship until the following year, so 2015." So once he said that, like, you got to understand, and like, college coaches at times just tell you things, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a business. So then, and I already knew I was going to prep school, so I ended up going to St. Andrews with Coach Hart, the legend Coach Hart, man. And Gal came right in October. He was like, "Listen, we're going to offer you." And I remember it was like October, if I'm not mistaken, it was like October 13th. And I said, listen, if you can go convince my mom that this is the school, I'll commit. Um, let's say October 13th was on a Monday. Gal drives down to New Jersey on a Wednesday, meets with my mom. I talk with my mom, and I commit right when I got off the phone with my mom.
2008 team, you were named, American East third team, and then 19 followed up with the first team showing over 1,000 career points at Hartford. You had a great career. What could you say about it?
Like I said, I pay all that stuff to the players I had around me. Without those guys, I probably won't score as much. When you're not expected to go score the basketball and everyone around you is expected to score the basket, the scouting report is make sure you stay out on the shooters, make sure you defend them hard. That gave me driving lanes to get to the rim. That gave me free open shots. So I give credit to my teammates, Jason Dunn, Travis Weatherington, who I think is arguably one of the greatest shooters to ever come out of Hartford. And then you got John Carroll, who literally, in my opinion, could have possibly been player of the year in the American East. And then George, who had a breakout senior year, a kid who his freshman year was an all freshman team. Has a slow sophomore season. Junior season was okay, and then has a breakout senior year. So like, I had great teammates, So credit to them, and I was fortunate enough to kind of execute when my time was to shine.
You're no stranger to mid-major basketball. Obviously, now at Manhattan, you're coming on and you're on a staff here, in the MAC. But in the America East was competitive in its own right. What was it like going to Vermont and these other places that you went to go play at? And can you talk about the conference and the competitiveness of it?
So, in my opinion, I think the American East is one of the most skilled conferences, and what I mean by that is like there you have very few guys who are extremely athletic, like a Malik Ellison. Like that's that's rare, right? But when we're talking about skilled, you're talking about Anthony Lamb. Um, you're talking about John Carroll, um, Joe Cremo, who was at Albany. Um, so these are guys that not extremely athletic, but really skilled, right? Um, and so every night you had to kind of guard, and if you didn't guard, you would get exposed. It was a lot of 3 point shots being made. So it was one of those leagues where you had to go play. You know what I'm saying? You had to sit down and guard. And then, like I said, Vermont kind of owned the American East for a really long time. And every night you went there, in my opinion, is probably one of the hardest places to win a basketball game. I think I think that place is just thinking about it right now. It's like, man, I think in my career I won one game at their house, and it was my I want to say it was my junior year. Um, but it's a place where you have to you can't make mistakes. You make mistakes, they will make you pay.
At what point in your Hartford career did you realize that, I'm going to be able to take the next step? And you did, and you ended up playing professional basketball overseas.
Since I was a little kid, I always imagined it, right? So you always have this goal, this vision. Um, I'll be honest with you. I knew I was going to be able to play professionally when I was able to go play Division I basketball. I always had it in the back of my mind, like, listen, if I can play at Division I know I can play at the next level because of the work I put in. So once I was fortunate enough to have a Division I scholarship, I knew each year I was going to get better at something. Um, and I can literally tell you what I was great at my freshman year, and then and what I wasn't great at my freshman year to what I emphasized in my career. Um, and as you look at my stats each year, it kind of increased. But it's all credit to the work you put in.
So one season in Argentina, two in Puerto Rico. How awesome was it to be exposed to those cultures down there? And what were some of your favorite parts of being able to live in different countries?
The great this is what I would tell you is once I got out there, it was a surreal moment. Like you said, it's one of those things where um, you kind of put your mind and then you go there and you achieve it and now you're actually living it. Um, it was something that I was just like, holy cow! I just did something that I thought I could never do, um, which was exciting. And then the plus to it is uh, the people you meet, right? I still talk to some of the players. I still talk to the president from time to time, and just catch up. You know what I'm saying? It's the relationships you build. Um, I can go to Argentina and know I'll be okay. I can go to PR and know I'll be okay because I've met amazing people, and both places were great. I was in a situation where I played on one of the youngest teams to then my last year of playing, I was playing on the oldest team with like JJ Barea, Michael Beasley, Thomas Robinson, like a kid from Hoboken. I would have never thought I'd be able to play with the number 2 draft pick in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Number 5th pick in the NBA. I never thought I'd be able to play with an NBA champion, JJ Barea. Like so, I'm listen. I'm fortunate in those times. I wouldn't trade for anything.
Let's go back to fall 2021 for a second. Right on the cusp of the 21-22 season. What turns out to be Coach Gallagher's last season, actually, in charge at Hartford. He gives you a call and he asks you to be the director of basketball operations for the program. How special was that? And did you feel like kind of everything aligned, right, that you were able to play professional basketball now, but now it was time to move on?
It was like perfect timing. And the reason why I say that is because in 2020, COVID obviously happened, so my season in Argentina kind of ends. And I tell everyone this: I had this like light bulb switch just turn on, and it was like the question I would ask myself is like, what do I want to be remembered as? And every time I asked myself that question, I always thought about the people that impacted my life, like a Louis Delgado, Nick Marinello, John Linehan, Coach Gal, my mother, my grandparents, my dad, my siblings. And I'd always think about these things when I asked myself that question. And I was like, you know what? Like, I know I want to coach. If there's an opportunity that presents itself sooner than later, I'm gonna jump on it. And me and Coach Nick, uh, we used to talk every day, uh, literally every day about like opportunities and me wanting to get into the business, and we would argue, we would fight, but he stood by my corner, and he was the one that told me, he was like, listen, if you want to get into coaching, your best bet would be to go see if you can get a job at Hartford. At the time when I was playing, um, there wasn't any openings. So I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm playing, and I finally get a call from Coach Gal, and he's like, "Listen, do you want to be my director of operations?" I said, "Absolutely." My season in Puerto Rico ended like I want to say the end of October, so like October 28th, 29th. I fly down to Jersey. November 2nd, I was in Connecticut getting ready for the season.
So then Nick Marinello, as you talked about, your head coach at Hudson Catholic, he has that connection to Luke Murray. By the time we're going now into, 22-23 season, you want to stick around. You have this opportunity now to become the graduate assistant at UConn. How surreal was it when you look back, and does it still almost like not feel real that you're part of a national championship winning team?
Absolutely. It was one of those things where like it's something I didn't want to do because I have my master's. Um, so it was like I have to go back to school. And this is the fights that me and Coach Nick would have on the phone. Like we would go back and forth. Um, me telling him, like, listen, I feel like it's pointless. Like, and him saying, like, listen, what are you willing to do uh, if you want to get into this career? And once I realized that, I was like, you know what? Let me just go take a look at it. Let me see what it can be, you know. And then, like you said, like having a conversation with Luke and Nick, being connected with Coach Luke, being connected with Coach Hurley, being connected with Kamani Young, being connected with T Moore, it just made sense. Um, and so it was just I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where it's like, if I want to continue this career, I have to make a decision based on what I think is going to be the best thing for JR Lynch. And looking back at it, it's probably one of the smartest things I did.
So it's no secret that that UConn staff is one of the best in the country. Dan Hurley, Luke Murray, Kamani Young. Just it's just a great staff. Everybody that's part of it. When you think about that, not everybody is able to walk in your shoes in terms of being able to have that experience and being around them every day in practice. Like, can you talk about just being there and what would you say about, people that may not know being around those guys that you were able to learn?
The first thing that pops up is the passion and love they have for the game. And I'm talking about the intensity, the level of preparation, is I've never seen it. I tell everyone this story is like my first official practice with Coach Hurley. Um, I left that practice asking myself if can I even match his intensity? Is this even is this for me? You know what I'm saying? Because the level of intensity that he brings, and the way he gets the best out of all his players, his coaching staff, um, they all they all bring it every day. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't bring it, you they can spot it from a mile away. So that's the one thing I would say is their passion, their love for the game, and their preparation is like I've never seen it before. Never been around that before.
Do you guys go from having a heartbreaking loss in the Big East tournament against Marquette to then having an incredible run? How would you sum up those 2 weeks of magic in March? And why do you think everything clicked for a team that had faced so much adversity during the season, going through a little bit of a rough patch in the middle of the season after, opening so many eyes early on and becoming one of the highest ranked teams in the country?
I think the month of January was key for us. I think we went like it was 1-7 in the month of January. But it was we start off the season like 14-0, right? So we know what success is. And then the month of January comes and we go through probably one of the toughest months ever. And we dealt with that adversity, you know what I'm saying? And then you go from coach getting COVID, Coach Kamani getting COVID, and then now you have Luke Murray filling in coach's shoes, which I thought he did a tremendous job. We lose at the buzzer to Seton Hall, which was a heartbreaker. Like that month of January prepared us for March, and you can see it because of it was like it was literally like something had clicked, and we knew we were in control of where we wanted this thing to go, and that's kind of what happened in March.
Coach Hurley brings so much passion to the game, animated, all that. What's it about his preparation that makes him just different? That there's some people that are just different. It seems like he's one of them.
He's about basketball, nothing else. Not a fan of all the other stuff, the outside stuff. He's about basketball and making sure his players play to their best ability, putting them like I'll tell you this. He's the first coach, and I know Coach Hurley Sr. was like this as well, just from hearing stories. He's the first coach I've been a part of, and witness him coach the 15th, 16th guy the way he coaches his best player. And I think once you command respect from 1 to 16, the way he does, it's like it's incredible to watch, and you literally see it.
Some other guys, go on to the next level. Andre Jackson, Jordan Hawkins. You see Adama get a contract after going undrafted. What about those guys were so special to be around, and how excited are you for each one of them to get an opportunity, at the next level?
I get chills just thinking about it, because it's like you ask every single one of those guys, why did you commit to go to UConn? And they'll tell you to play at the next level. So when you're able to achieve that, that's a blessing in itself. But they're the one thing that they all have in common is their work ethic. They're tremendous people. Andre Jackson is probably one of the most selfless human beings I've ever been a part of. Jordan Hawkins is probably one of the most humblingest people that you can ever be a part of, like be around. And then Adama Sanogo is Adama Sanogo. You know what I'm saying? A guy who just is gonna outplay you. Is gonna bring. He's gonna give you everything he can every night. And all three of those guys are tremendous people, hard workers, and their future is bright.
At the moment when everybody was able to come together for a reunion and go to the White House, visit the White House, it's a tradition in sports. Going there when you're in town, the whole experience. How special was that? And I know since you really, that UConn family meant so much to you, just being around those guys for one more time.
I hope I get to go to the White House one more time, but yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where I'm a inner city kid, born and raised in Hoboken, New Jersey. Like I don't know many people that have gone and be able to experience that. So it's one of those moments where I would never forget, and I'm just thankful I was able to be a part of that.
When you look forward now, Manhattan is going to be playing at UConn. It's going to be another reunion for you. You're going to be around those guys again. How special is that going to be? And did you circle that game maybe twice on your calendar?
I definitely circled it once, but yeah, it's like I said, like me, like we all have goals, you know what I'm saying? And my goal was to become an assistant coach. Now being able to go against something that you were a part of a year ago, that's a blessing in itself. So I'm excited just to go against them, and literally use some of their tactics, and take it for my own and put my mixture to it. So I'm just excited and fortunate to be in this situation and be able to go up against them this year.
You're in a position now where you come off, under Coach Hurley and learning so much for him, and then you're going back with a guy you were familiar with. I think you've told me before that getting away from your comfort zone was good for you. Now that you're back with Coach Gallagher, right? How have you been able to implement that so far into the practices? And does Coach Gallagher notice a new JR Lynch as well coming from UConn?
I'm not sure if he's seen a difference, but I just know, like, just my approach, right? I just had this conversation the other day. It's like being a player and then trying to get to become a coach. The hardest thing is accepting the fact that you're not catering anymore. You're doing the catering, because as a player, the coaches cater to you, right? So once you're able to get past that as a coach, that has played, I think the next phase of that is just doing what you always did. You know what I'm saying? I love being in the gym. I was a hard worker. I love to talk. So now, every chance I get on the court, I just that's something that you're gonna see. You're gonna see me talk. You're gonna see me be really passionate about something that I love. You know what I'm saying? This is something that has changed my life, and I every day I try not to take it for granted. So the one thing that I would tell you is every time I step on the floor, they're gonna get the best version of myself, no matter the circumstances.
You as a young assistant stepping into here, Manhattan has essentially a whole new roster outside of Raziel Hayong and Logan Paget that come back. Guys who got minutes from last year. How excited has it been to see these pieces come together?
The one thing I've noticed right off the bat is the guys love being in the gym, and I think when you don't have to coach effort, when you don't have to coach someone to play hard, uh, that's that's a win, right? If I have to coach your effort, if I have to coach uh, you to go harder, I think that's another battle. So that's the one thing that I have noticed. These guys have done everything we have asked, and more, which is a blessing, and that's something I can say and tell you is like no different than UConn. When I was at UConn, the guys worked, right? We didn't coach effort. It was literally X's and O's, putting people in position to be successful. So that's one thing I've noticed off the bat, that the guys that we brought in, they love being in the gym, and I think that's the key to a successful season.
Manhattan's not the only team that has completely revamped this summer. You could pretty much say it for the whole entire conference that everybody has brought in a lot of new additions. When looking at it so far, I know everything's on paper, but why does this Manhattan team have a good chance for people that may be doubting this program?
You got to bet on Gal. What Gal has done in his last 6 seasons at the University of Hartford. You look back at it, it was a trend in the upward direction. His last season, due to injury, kind of put us in a tough situation. But the COVID year, he was in the championship. He won the American East the year after that. And then that last year, the things that he was battling, and then injuries with DeJuan Clayton, um, that that literally explains who Gal and what Gal was about to do. If I can pinpoint anything like what separates Manhattan, I think it's John Gallagher.
A lot of things did blossom, at Hartford. You had a great career. There was a lot of other great players there that came up and developed under John Gallagher. You mentioned DeJuan Clayton, who was coming off a great season at Cal this past year. Moses Flowers at St. Bonaventure. What was it about these guys that were, maybe they were unheralded recruits, but they were able to go on and continue to perform? And
It's Gal's approach, right? He's gonna treat you like a grown man. He's gonna prepare you for what you want, right? So if you want to be a professional, he's gonna treat you like a professional. And as long as you do your job, everything will go as planned, right? But he's going to challenge you. He's going to push you. Uh, he's going to try to get his ultimate goal is to get the best out of you. Um, and that's one thing that those guys did. You know what I'm saying? And they were fortunate enough to go to other schools and have success.
wanting to get back, this program back to where it was, back in 2015, 2014 when they made the tournament, having to get through Atlantic City and just navigating that once that comes. How special would it be to get to that point early on and really kind of establishing this program back on track? And how much does the staff talk about that? I know you're trying to take it probably one game at a time, but kind of wanting to get this back to a championship level.
We all know the circumstances, the situation, and the excitement, right? The excitement of no one believing. You know what I'm saying? We've all every coach in this office has experienced that. Being the underdog, having that chip on your shoulder, um, which is which is good. It's a good thing. There's little expectation, which is fine. But uh, the one thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna put the hours in. We're gonna work, um, and eventually it's gonna show. Right when the lights turn on, we'll look back at this interview, uh, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, and say, you know what, JR said it. So I'm just like I said. I think we understand what needs to be done, and we have one mission, and it's to bring the program back to where it was.
Coach Gallagher scheduled a very competitive non-conference here coming up. I mentioned UConn, the game at Kansas. You guys are going to be able to take a trip out there. What is it about scheduling that and being around Coach Gallagher, because you've been in it before, that will help this team come the MAC schedule?
The biggest thing there is I think is exposure, and then it's testing your skill, right? The one thing I remember, my senior year, we played the number 3 team in the country, the number 15 team in the country. So Mississippi State at the time, I think, was ranked like 15 in the country. Duke was ranked number 3, and it challenged us. It prepared us for what was yet to come, And I think that's the approach this year is, listen, we want to play against the best. We want to just to see where we are, and now you put like a you put a switch on you put a battery on the player's back, to tell them, like, listen, there's more to be done, and that's the most important thing, I think, is exposure, and telling these guys, like, listen, like, we're gonna put you in these situations. Now, what are you going to do in these situations?
John Gallagher's Hartford teams were some of the best at defending the 3-point line. Up there, nationally ranked almost every year, and had a couple of top showings. And then when you look at the offensive side, Coach Gallagher really likes to move the ball, get the bigs involved. High shot percentage is a big point of focus in his offense. How much are we going to see that from this Manhattan team, and how much strides have been made this summer already in terms of being able to channel and manifest a lot of those philosophies that Coach Gallagher has?
From day one to now, it's day and night. Like I said, the way they have responded is unbelievable. It's amazing. Like, it's literally amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you kind of, the blessing of this whole thing is, like, you see it from the bottom and you're working your way up. You're putting the things together. It's like putting a puzzle, and eventually the puzzle comes together. So it's literally the work that they have put in, and the way they have responded is something that, as a young coach, as any coach, that's what you want, is to see your guys respond in a positive way.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty, so far. A lot of people are interested to see what this Manhattan team looks like. You've gotten international players on the team. You pulled from the JUCO ranks. You got a familiar face in Briggs McLean. It's really a lot of different pieces that are going to come together. In terms of how much competition there has been at each spot, do you feel like having that mix of veterans and then some young guys that you have brought in as well, Seydou Traore, Jaden Winston, a lot of these freshmen, have also helped, kind of push veterans to the next level?
When you look at it, it's like any great team. You have to have a mix, right? Unfortunate, fortunate. We lose 9 guys, right? All those guys were upperclassmen. A few, I think it was like 2 or 3 that transferred. But it's like the blessing of this is we bring guys that we recruited, So this is the foundation, right? And then those young guys is preparing them for year 2, year 3, so that they understand the culture. So when you bring in younger guys or new guys, they know the standard, right? If we have all older guys, they're gone. What is the culture? What's going on here, right? So the key to this is a mixture of everything, and the beauty of it, like I said, is there's a foundation now, and the culture is now about to get implemented into who we are.
NIL now taking over the sport. How would you assess your first year, kind of rolling up your sleeves and getting involved in the recruiting? Can you kind of backtrack to, and in terms of the dominoes that were falling, you get Briggs McLean, you get Perry Cohen, get these guys. Can you talk about the experiences of just like going after some of those guys and feeling the reward of bringing them in?
Whenever you get a recruit, it's a great feeling, right? Because it tells you something, and it also tells us that this person believes in what you're saying, and then the same belief that they have in us, we have in them. So anytime you get a recruit, it's one of those things where you may not scream out loud, but you're screaming inside, uh, because how happy you are, because you get an opportunity to coach someone and help develop them, and hopefully they all get to play at the next level. So just being a part of that, I think is everything.
How has it been being on the Manhattan College campus so far? A lot of stairs going up to Dratty Gym, so I'm sure you're getting a good workout. But how has the environment been? And now with classes started, have you seen the campus in full run and full shape?
It's exciting just to be here. Like you just appreciate every day. Amazing people around us. Great group of guys. So there's no complaints here. I'm just excited for the season.
So as you mentioned, you're a Hoboken guy, stone's throw from the city. Now you find yourself back in the city. What did you miss most?
My family, right? I'm a family guy. So now I'm 30 minutes away. So, but no, like looking back at it all, y'all like if you wanna find like love, right? You go back home, right? And you sit there, and if you ever forget about that, and I'm fortunate enough to have my family, so it's like whenever I feel like I'm getting away from, or I'm having a not so great day or whatever, I'm able to drive down and be by my mom and get a hug. Like those are the things that I kind of cherish the most, because it's something that since I was young uh, I've been traveling. You know what I'm saying? I've given the game of basketball literally my entire life, um, which is why I'm here today. I'm in a position to kind of pay that forward. But now I get to kind of do something I love and be near home. It doesn't get any better than that.
Want to do a rapid fire questions. Couple of questions. Are you ready for it? It's not gonna be too bad.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, great. Favorite basketball player, past or present?
Favorite basketball player, I would say Chris Paul.
Favorite venue that you've played at?
Ooh, it would have to be, wow. So I would have to go with, it used to be called the Duncan Center at where Providence used to play. So that year, my freshman year, we had played against Chris Dunn at the time, who literally destroyed us. But just that environment, the fans, um, one of the most incredible experiences ever, to be honest.
If you didn't devote yourself to becoming a professional basketball player, which sport would you have been drawn to try to become a professional?
It would probably be baseball. A lot of people don't know this, but I was better in baseball than I was in basketball. But I felt baseball was a boring sport, so I decided to give every inch of me, every ounce of me to the game of basketball, because it was something I was really passionate about.
What pregame tunes were you listening to, to pump you up before a game?
Uh, I would definitely listen to a lot of Meek Mills, to get me going.
Okay. And then how about a good New York bagel or a good New York pizza slice?
Um, are you asking which one I prefer,
Yeah,
or
which one do you prefer?
I'm going with slice?
Slice? Okay. Well, JR, it was a pleasure bringing you on. I wish you the best of luck in your first year at Manhattan College. It looks like you're settled into that office pretty nicely there. So we wish you and the coaching staff and the players the best of luck.
Now, Pete, thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor, and best of luck to you as well.